What Ryan Healing Center is for me is when I first got out of rehab, I was gone for a year out of society, and I needed a safe place to go. I knew I wasn't ready to be out on my own completely yet. I needed somewhere where I could go and get a family around me, and that's what Ryan Healing Center offered me. It was just a place where I could go and continue to grow in my relationship with Christ and in my recovery. The things that I learned, the relationship with Christ that I gained while there, has just afforded me this freedom that I don't think I could have gotten without it. So we just had this group of women who would just come over and just love us, and all the different things we did, the retreats, the seminars, the transforming prayer. They were always there through the step studies and all the different things that we did in the house. The women were there and they would just love us right where we were at, and it was a huge, huge important part of it. Transforming prayers had so much impact on my life. I had all these lies, I believed, from childhood, growing up in abusive, neglectful situations with both my parents being addicts and alcoholics. Basically everything I believed was a lie. And so through transforming prayer, I've overcome the lie that I was responsible for the things that happened in my life in childhood. I always believed that I was responsible for my siblings and for my own life. And through transforming prayer, Jesus told me, you were never meant to carry this by yourself. You were always supposed to leave it at the cross. This is where it was supposed to be. This was never your responsibility. Different things like I believed I could only go so far at anything I tried. So if that was guitar, recovery, being a wife, being a mother, everything, I believed I could only get to a certain point, to a certain level of good, and then I could never go past that any further. And that's another lie that I overcame through transforming prayer. Just so many different lies that I believed. I had this mantra in my head that just played over and over and over again, that if people really knew me, they wouldn't like me. And through transforming prayer, I learned that it wasn't true, that people do like me and they really do know me and they like me in spite of that. It gave me time to really just get centered in my relationship with Christ and just really know who God was more, and that the things that I've learned through TPM and the ways that I've healed through TPM, it's just completely transformed my entire life. And there's numerous things that I still use to this day. To have my children back in my life at Ryan Healing Center was an amazing, amazing thing for my recovery and for myself, because I didn't have a relationship with my oldest two children for 8 years. I had no idea how to navigate motherhood, how to navigate family, any of these things. And so while I was at Ryan House, I was able to start getting my children overnights. The first time I got them overnight, we camped out in the backyard, which was awful. It was hot and gross and I didn't like it, but we stayed out there all night and my kids loved it, and they'd never been camping before. So it was my first time getting to do a first with them in a long time. And from there, I got to have my children basically every other weekend the whole time I was there, which was 9 months. So Ryan Healing Center offers a lot of different things that help you and helps me to grow in your relationship with Christ and in your recovery. So one of the amazing things that we did there was on Thursday nights we did a 12-step study with the women in the house, and people from outside would come into the meeting, and it was just an amazing time where people got to get real and honest, and I started to see how the Bible and 12-step could be related to each other, interwoven together, and that was an amazing time. They offered a coda meeting, which I hated and I thought I didn't need, and I was like, I'm not codependent, I don't need this. Come to find out I'm super codependent and I really, really needed it. So that was amazing. January 28th of 2019, I lost my sister to an overdose, and that was a really awful, really hard time in my recovery. I had about 1.5 years sober, and I really didn't know if I was going to make it through sober. And so we left that following Friday for the retreat, which was just a few days after losing my sister. And that time there, I was kind of in a fog and a blur. The grief had just overtaken me, but the women there just loved me right where I was at. And I stood up and I told them, you know, I'm going to start being honest about my feelings at that retreat. And so they came and they just loved me, and they did some TPM with me. The counseling that they offer there is TPM, and just also just one-on-one time with one of the women named Lillian. She just comes and she just sits down and she just works with you on, I struggled a lot with anxiety and I still do. And so Lillian specifically worked with me on my anxiety, and we would just talk about my fears for an hour once a month. And it was kind of like sitting with her and going over my fears. It was like, I have no idea why I'm fearing any of this stuff. None of it ever happens. And it was just a really good experience. I've been where you're at. I know what this is like. I know what it's like to be scared. And you know, it's not you. You're not the problem. The problem is that you don't have the tools. And it's amazing to watch the women just be transformed there. They come in shaking, nervous, scared, just like I did. And they just like develop into these confident women and raising children and getting reconnected with family. It's amazing.